I'm having a sort of existential-ish crisis with my bag right now. See, like, that's concerning for me, and we'll get to that. What the heck? This hole doesn't count because this, but we're gonna have fun throwing it anyways. A lot of you who followed the channel for a while know that I've had an envy in the bag for a long time. And then I think like last week or 2 weeks ago, I go out to prepare for a tournament, talk about, hey, let's figure out what this do I need, what this do I not need, and have like a small realization that I might not actually need an envy in my bag. So I actually took it out for the last tournament that I played, and there was really only one time, or maybe two, that I was like, I wish I had an envy. But the more that I've been playing with my bag recently, the more I've kind of missed it, but also I don't know if that's because I'm not doing some other things right. Now my big question comes down to, do I have enough discs to fill up the overlap and I'm just not trusting them, which could be an issue, don't get me wrong. And those two discs that I think fill a lot of what I would have my envy do are this Crystal Flex Zone, because it's pretty straight for a zone, still overstable, and this Opto Pure, which the reason I said there was a problem is when I ripped it on a hyzer into a slight headwind, slight head right to left, so it is still right to left. It just didn't like flip up, turn, go all over the place like crazy. And I imagine it's pretty similar to if I would have thrown this on a similar line. Similar, not the same, because this envy is slightly beat in. And so I've actually brought out another envy, which I did in that video that I referenced earlier as well, kind of my prepping for tournaments that doesn't include the practice round, because this glow envy is pretty beat in now, and this is a new Prism Plasma envy with a little dome that definitely goes farther than the zone, but rivals it in terms of stability. Not quite as much, but still close. So today we're gonna be putting these four up against each other, and this actual kind of bag it or bin it, not bag it or bin it, like more bag it or shelve it, is gonna have something in it that I've never done in one of these videos before. See, like I threw that on Annie and it's not like just pushing out. Here's the envy, the glow one. I mean, definitely more stable, but I mean, not that much. Prism Plasma is a little domier, so I think it's a little more glide. Oh, that's terrible. That's better. It's definitely more stable, a little bit of left to right, doesn't help anything. In this little 9-hole video, the scores are actually gonna matter. Because I feel so emotionally invested in having an envy in my bag, if either of the envies just comes out as the outright leader, regardless of my findings in this video, one is staying in the bag at least through September, where I have 3 more tournaments. Oh, I don't know which one's gonna be, especially because that Opto Pure is not even my most stable Pure that I've ever had. It flips more than some other ones. So as that beats it more, I can just get a straighter Opto Pure, which I don't know if I need an envy, but I really want an envy. All right. I do definitely see the difference between the envy and the zone, but I also wonder like if I get a more base plastic zone, which I've thought about putting in my bag, because this is, especially up here at elevation, a little more stable than I would want, and I really like putter line disc from Discraft. So I have a putter line zone. I am thinking about putting it in the bag. And this might even solidify that if the envy doesn't win and I don't want to put it in. Oh, nice and deep. One of the reasons that I took the envy out of the bag is because as I was practicing with this Opto Pure, I was realizing that it was more stable than I was giving it credit for, and that contributed to 2 things. One, when I did throw it, I thought it would flip a lot more than it does right now. It could be more so because we're at elevation, so it adds like a half tick of stability, but it also meant that I was trusting it a lot less. And so I actually just filmed a video in the mountains where I shot really well, and realized that because I didn't have the envies, I was forced to throw some other discs and really focus up. Because if I like felt like it was an envy shot and I wasn't able to throw an envy, I know that I can replicate that line with a little more hyzer on this Opto Pure, or even kind of powering down on a Pathfinder. And that's what I had to do a couple times during that video. And every time I did it, I hit my line really well, because I think there's a little bit of extra focus and intentionality. And I think it also helps me to learn this disc more. And I'm not saying that like the envy's bad at all. Absolutely not. I absolutely love this disc. But for me, I'm a little more comfortable with this being a little more forgiving because it is still stable, but has a little more glide and less bite, so it finishes less hard, which I prefer right now in my bag. But there still might be a spot for both. This next hole is gonna be interesting because it is maybe a little too long for these discs, so we'll get to see little max distance rips, which is where I think we'll see the zone kind of start to lose as an envy comparison. Big distance. So like it does flip and just goes so straight. Wow, that's incredible. This hole plays, I think, 600 feet. Okay, that was a slight amount of anhyzer out of the hand. Looks like it is different. The Pure did go farther though. This Envy, which will have to be a decent bit more hyzer, or anhyzer. Ooh, don't put more hyzer on this one. Whew. Yeah. Wow, best distance so far. Gave it more height, a little more juice. And if I was to put an Envy in the bag, it'd probably be something like that, which is more stable. Yeah, like that looked like it was going so far, but because of how blunt it is on the side, it's like 30 short. So not the best comparison, but close in stability. Ooh. Same score as last hole. I think that also shows which discs I've thrown more in my life. Well, except for the zone. The zone was bad on the last hole. Looks like it's gonna be a hyzer for these guys. Here is the Pure. Well, if you miss your line by 50 feet to the right, you probably want a little more hyzer. But that's still surprising to me. Like, I didn't throw on a ton of hyzer, and it didn't get past flat. So you see the same amount of hyzer, like it doesn't flip up. It's a better shot. I'm gonna sneak into the circle there, I think. Here, I'll try to throw them all in the same, like, hyzer. So that one, it just gets up and boom, starts pushing left. Doesn't nearly have the same amount of glide as the more beat-in one does. Now I left a little bit wider, that was much better, but similar. Similar, just not as far. The reason I question it so much too is I feel like there have been times in the past, and like I can't put my finger on it, but there have been times where I've thrown an Envy and like it has not gone well. Maybe because of too much finish or what, and maybe it's just that I need to have one like pretty overstable Envy, not like the one that's close to the Pure, because it definitely seems different than the zone, but I still don't know like if I need it to shape shots. Like, can I throw the Pure on a similar line? It's not gonna move as far left to right, or just power down on a Pathfinder, or throw the Ultra. I honestly don't know if today will give me all the answers, but if it doesn't give me a compelling reason to put the Envy back in my bag, I don't think I'm gonna until I really feel like I need to. Oh, get it up in the air, man, come on. Oh my gosh, yeah, it is bad. Ah. The Envy has taken the lead. Set you guys up as a catch cam here. I think it's like 280-ish through this gap, so throw the gap shot with all of them. Envy has the box. Just a touch of flex out of the hand. Oh, get it in the air, man. This happens when I throw my anhyzers when I'm tired. I still stride long, but then I come over them, and because I'm not like firing fast enough, I just kind of like fall over myself, take smaller steps. Oh no! I also threw that one on an Annie when it was supposed to be flat to hyzer. Man, I'm showing you a great way how to play this hole. Much better. On the basket. All right, time for the throw-in Olympics. Oh, come on! Zone has the box. I'm interested to see if I can really get this there. Even in a headwind, I think I'm gonna need to give it a touch of flex. That's two nose up and high. Glow one. I think I can throw this one flat just to the right of it, and it should maybe get a little turn and be fine. Wow, that kind of has so little finish for an Envy. Good shot though. Pure, I think if we throw hyzer to that same spot, it doesn't ever finish hard, which I like, so even if we put a lot of hyzer on it, as long as we give it the height, it should be fine. Also decent, probably a little long. Oh, we're just gonna give it too much flex in the headwind. It's so stable though. I think it might have to be Pure, one of the stable ones, zone. But we got 3 more holes to decide at least. I think the one reason that I did miss it today is the course I was playing was wooded. And when you're playing a wooded course, to hit a gap, sometimes you wanna hit it on an anhyzer, sometimes you wanna hit it on a hyzer. And I feel like even though that Prism Plasma Envy isn't ridiculously overstable, I can throw a similar amount of hyzer versus anhyzer with that and a Pure and get a dead straight flight out of both of them. Which is why it might be useful to have that Prism Plasma Envy in the bag. Because I can also trust it on a little more height because of the stability that it won't like burn over if I give it a lot of height and anhyzer. I think it's making more and more the case that it should be in my bag, just probably not the blue one that I really loved for a long time. Because I noticed when I was playing with it at KC Wide Open, I actually lost it there, that it was just a little too flippy on me for what I wanted that slot to be, where my pure, which is slightly beat in, is pretty similar to it, but I can't go all envy or all pure yet. Yep. There we go. Remembered how to cock my wrist. Dude. Oh, this pure is not getting love from the basket. 3 more holes, and it looks like unless I completely mess up with that blue envy, I'm gonna have to bag an envy, which I totally hate. All right, this one we're just going for ace runs. Straight there, it's like 210 feet. I really hope this gives a little bit of an insight into kind of like how I'm trying to build a bag to be the best player that I possibly can be. Like MPO level and beyond, hopefully to the Pro Tour level eventually. Whether I play there or not, we'll see. But everything constantly evolves, you know? Taking stock of like, sometimes you realize your disc is slightly too beat in, and it's still absolutely usable, and I love this. But it's almost too close to my Opto Pure, and that was beat in first, and it is still beat in, and it's still flying really nice, and I kind of like the little bit less finish, and maybe I get a slightly more stable envy back in the bag, or maybe I don't go with the envy. Like, these are all like questions and things to think about. Not actually, that with the zone is perfect. Oh, almost. Gonna just kind of throw on a slight hyzer. Drop, 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 drop. Ooh, pretty good. This envy goes. Ah, man. Here's the pure. Wow, I really wish putting didn't matter in this video. Holy cow. I'm not out of breath because I just had to run and grab these because I forgot to press record. Didn't happen. But now the question is, which of these envies do I bag? Because it's probably not gonna be this Eclipse one. Nice shot. It might be the Prism Plasma one, but I'm not 100% sure because it's so domey. Oh, I didn't check it that bad the first time I didn't record this. Still will obviously bag a zone, but I might still play around with putting a base one in the bag. At this point, it's a little less likely because I'm gonna be putting an envy in there. They're not the same, but a little more similar. And I definitely think the pure is staying. I just have to rely on this guy a little bit more. Such a great disc. Like even that, like the touch of Annie out of the hand, still works even though it's pure. Now with that Shattered Van stamp so far, I have run the Eclipse envies, the Prism Plasma envy that I've also been throwing, as well as Fission envies. The Fission are relatively slick, but I hear when they beat in, they get really grippy, which is nice. Both the Prism Plasma and the Fission have a decent bit of dome for the envy. And I do have a couple more of my Glow envies, which are much more stable than the Glow envy that I've been throwing today. More similar to the Prism Plasma one, which we're not even gonna put out. Oh, these are parked though. And a part of me does like the dome because it should correlate to extra glide. But it does make it a little bit harder for me to grip because the envy is a little deeper than the pure, but those flat ones feel very similar to a pure because you're not having to like curve your hand over the top of a rim. Dang, this is the first chance for a star frame and I butchered it. Maybe not. Oh, let's go! Crazy what following through and using your wrist will do for you. This last one might be a little bit too much of a pump for these. It's 340 down there. Honestly, not really too much of a reason to throw the zone unless we want a cool highlight throw in. But I want to see if we can get him there, at least close. And I do think that the envy that I bag will have to be more similar to this one. This one's just 2 beat in, which I think is really nice. And maybe eventually, like I will put it back in the bag for something. But I'm really liking the lack of finish that these pures have and how like still it is pretty stable. And it does feel slightly more comfortable in my hands because it's a little bit shallower. I'll play around with it. You'll see an envy in my bag for most of the rest of the year, at least through September. Swing left. Distance, I think, got there. I think Prism Plasma. I have been putting it on like zone amounts of anhyzer and then putting the zone on zone OS amount of anhyzer. So I need to put this on envy amount of anhyzer. That was freaking zone OS. What am I doing with my life? 4. Wow, it is so stable. I definitely popped it on the hyzer. You need to be on less hyzer though. I love how stable that pure is. That's so good. Not super meaningful, but the envy went pretty far, so let's Let's try to make a putt to cap it off. If we can't make it, I don't know what happens. Good thing we don't need to know. Let's go. Pretty needless to say, whichever MV winds up making its way in my bag, I'm gonna need to work with just as much as I work with the Pure. I think all this questioning came about because I didn't work with either of them enough to really be confident in one over the other, even though they are different stabilities. Like, I'm very confident in my Firebird versus Honor versus CD1, and those are arguably closer than this and this. I'm glad I was able to do this because I definitely think I want an MV in the bag. I'm also glad to know that I don't throw the zone like I throw the MV. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So if you like this video about like kind of breaking down and figuring out your bag and like trying to compare this and figure things out, I think you'll really like a video that I just made. It's linked right down here. It's about the only 4 discs that you actually need. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.